You're on my ship.
The ship belongs to me now.
All this ground to break, new life forms with acid for blood.
I'm gonna get them back.
We're trying to contain an alien invasion.
So Wendy's just out there with all these things?
Joe?
They shouldn't be here. Species from other worlds. Millions of years old. Killers.
Collision imminent. Collision imminent. Collision imminent. 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 Imminent.
Feels good, doesn't it? Being more than human. But there's a price. Do you know what it is?
Something's here.
It's getting close. Save yourself.
And here we go. Welcome one, welcome all to the Alien Hour. We got to come up with a name for our Alien streams.
Right.
We have the Fromville Hour. We have the Hour of the Dragon for House of the Dragon. We got to come up with something for our Alien stream. So we are open to suggestions in the chat, guys. You have any good names for our Alien streams? Let them fly in the chat. We want to know what you guys think. Because we are going to be covering this show extensively throughout season 1 and hopefully throughout season 2, 3. From what I hear, Noah Hawley has a multi-season plan laid out for the show. It's not just going to be a one season and done thing, I guess. He does have a multi-season plan in mind. So I get the feeling we're going to get a second season or as many of these as he needs to make, because it seems like it's doing pretty well so far. I'd be very surprised if this show gets canceled. But here we are, folks. We're going to be covering every single episode, doing some video breakdowns and some live discussions, because we love just getting in here and hanging out with you guys in the chat, hearing what you have to say live. And with episode 3 right around the corner and the episode 3 trailer that recently dropped, we definitely have some stuff to discuss. Let's see who we got in here tonight. Welcome, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well on this fine Sunday evening. We have Kiwi Skirt. Welcome, Kiwi. So good to see Kiwi again.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Kiwi's a big Alien fan and that she's diving into this as well. It's so good to see. Awesome to see you back, Kiwi. Awesome. We got House Dane in the house. Welcome, House Dane. Good to see you. We got Kelly in the building. Welcome, Kelly. We got Elizabeth in the house as well. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome. I'm looking forward to this. What is up, Star? Good to see you as well. I'm looking forward to episode 3. Episode 1, absolutely loved episode 1. Episode 2 was a little bit of a step down from episode 1 in my opinion, and went from episode 1 was really intriguing and had some good character moments and some really good story building moments. Episode 2 kind of just felt like your average chase scene, and that's okay. You're going to have episodes like that every once in a while with a show like Alien. A big part of the Alien franchise are these elaborate xenomorph chase scenes that we see in all of the films. So we're going to have to see some of that stuff every once in a while. But I'm looking forward to episode 3 because finally in episode 3, we're going to see a meeting between Kirsch and Morrow. two of my favorite characters on the show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that meeting is going to go down, because these are definitely two characters that are, imposing and that aren't going to back down from one another, that both consider themselves, well, obviously Kirsch is a full-on synthetic, so he is more than human, but even Morrow considers himself to be more than human, with him being a cyborg. So this is going to be an interesting meeting between these two characters, and I'm finally looking forward to seeing them two have some scenes together.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really liked episode 2.
Yeah,
I really liked the episode 2 because while it was a chase for the scene episode, I found it interesting that they did the like Rococo party, right, where everybody was dressed up, and so they made it interesting.
Yeah.
The cinematography, of course.
Yeah.
The wardrobe department, amazing.
Yeah.
So they found ways to make it interesting, but then again, with episode 2 comes one of the biggest issues that the community has had. Why isn't the Xenomorph like getting Joe?
Oh, the plot armor.
Yeah.
Joe's plot armor. Yeah, it's really sticking out. And yeah, we mentioned this very early on. How can you not see it at this point? It's like 3-4 encounters now that Joe has had with the Xenomorph, where it's slaughtering everybody else in sight instantaneously, yet for some reason every time it sees Joe, it just likes to growl in his face and not do anything. And again, it's either huge plot armor and bad writing, or there's a very specific reason as to why the Xenomorph isn't killing Joe like it kills everybody else. Hell, at the end of episode 2, it kidnapped Joe.
It did.
We don't see Xenomorphs do this kind of stuff. Like, this is not stuff we see very often, with Xenomorphs just kidnapping people. It grabbed Joe and ran off. And I have a few ideas as to why that might be. And I think it's going to definitely lead into the hybrids, Wendy's connection with her brother. And I think there might be some interesting stuff going on here with some connections that these hybrids might have to the Xenomorphs. And I think we get hints of that in some of the trailers that we've seen. You see a few shots of Wendy like grabbing her head like she's in pain, saying, "They're talking to me."
They're talking to me.
Almost like she's like telepathically almost communicating with some of these aliens, with some of these species. And I wouldn't be too surprised if the Xenomorph is picking up on Wendy's, just want and need to protect her brother. Is that why the Xenomorph isn't killing only Joe? Because it's feeling Wendy's protective nature over him and wanting to keep him safe, maybe.
I mean, it would appear so, because the kidnapping could be interpreted as him wanting to keep him safe.
Yeah.
He really holds on to him and he jumps off with him. So potentially, they're not really trying to hurt him, but to keep him safe. Is it coming from Wendy?
Maybe. I think it might be. I mean, at least writing-wise, story-wise, that would be an explanation that I as an audience member could accept, at least, because you don't like to see big plot armor that isn't explained.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be an explanation behind it, otherwise it's really just bad and lazy writing. And I would like to think that's not where this show is going, hopefully. So I like to believe there's a specific reason as to why it's only sparing Joe. And yeah, I mean, that's just the first thing that popped into my mind. And I know I'm not the only one. I know other people had similar ideas that maybe there's some kind of connection between Wendy and the Xenomorph. That would be the answer that makes the most sense. As of right now, just given episode 1 and 2 and the data we have just from these first 2 episodes, that would be something. And of course, based on the little scenes we get in some of the season 3 trailers, knowing that they're going to be communicating with Wendy at some point, that's the thing I think that makes the most sense to me. If there's some kind of connection that's being established between Wendy and the Xenomorph, and that's why the Xeno isn't as deadly towards Joe. Because it'd be one thing if Joe wasn't afraid. Like, we see that scene with Morrow and the Xenomorph earlier.
It's terrifying.
He's super terrified. Like, Morrow, he kind of centers himself and he kind of gets rid of all of his fear, and the Xenomorph doesn't kill him when it kills everybody else. And they definitely seem to be setting up on this show that Xenomorphs are attracted to fear, which isn't something that has been in much of the other alien films. Like they're not like super specifically attracted to fear. But it seems like they're going that route here heavily on Alien Earth. So it'd be one thing if Joe was like super stoic and not like afraid. maybe that would explain why the Xeno isn't attacking him. But no, he's petrified. Like,
He
and we
is.
pulled the screenshots to
It's
show it.
hilarious, yeah.
Like, anyone who hasn't seen my episode
Mhm.
3 trailer breakdown, check it out. I specifically grabbed the screenshots. He's fucking scared
He's
shitless every
terrified.
time that thing shows up. He is not. His fear is very much present. So that's kind of my take on it, I guess. I'm thinking, I'm hoping it's not just bad plot armor. I'm hoping there's a reason behind it, and maybe it's some kind of connection between Wendy and the Xeno.
And I just don't think that they would overlook that.
Mhm.
That's just not something you overlook. They have paid attention to detail. They, it seems like a great show that's exploring all of the tiny little, things that they're putting in it. They're following up, they're following through. I just don't think that they would overlook that. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping it's not something that's just going to be overlooked. Yeah. Kiwi says, I was surprised how quickly they brought out the creepy crawlies. Thought it might take a little longer to find them all. I thought so too. Like, that was one thing I was wondering going into the show. It's like, how fast are they going to roll out every single one of these aliens? Like, I had a feeling we were going to get some, facehugger and xenomorph action pretty early, but all the other aliens, I wasn't really expecting to see a whole lot of them until maybe, episode 3 or 4 or stuff, getting really into it. From what I hear, episode 4 is the craziest episode of the season. Apparently something really, really big happens in episode 4 that I've been hearing about. And it's like a huge turning point for the rest of the series. I don't know what exactly it is. I just keep hearing that repeated, that episode 4 is a big one. Something big happens. It changes the whole show, and in a good way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. Like, what exactly is episode 4 going to be? Is that going to be the big reveal of what this species 37 is?
Right.
Maybe. I'm hoping. Or who knows? Maybe it'll be something else entirely. But episode 4 is apparently supposed to be something pretty big. So if that's the case, I'm definitely expecting episode 3 to be a good episode, but most likely be a bit of an episode that lays a little bit of groundwork for a bigger payoff in episode 4. And that's kind of where I'm expecting 3 to go. But yeah, I don't know. As far as Joe goes, there's got to be some kind of reason as to why he's not getting attacked, or it's bad writing. And I'd like to think it's not bad writing.
I don't think so. And I agree, Kiwi. It was really refreshing that they started with the aliens, right? I thought we were going to have to wait, and it was going to be, somebody mentioned in the chat on the live stream, a 13 ghost situation where it's kind of one by one, these crates are getting unlocked.
Yeah.
But something makes me think, right? And we did see one of the scientists was strangled. So it makes me think that
And poison.
Captain Poison, right?
And poison, the blue lips, as the medic said, look at the blue lips. That indicate some kind of toxin.
Yeah.
So was that human induced or one of these creatures?
Yeah. It makes me think that Captain Hook, Morrow, right?
Morrow is totally Captain Hook.
He kind of just let go of the insignificant sort of aliens, the ones that they can afford to
like
lose.
Cause a stir.
Exactly, right? To become problematic and for it to kind of give him some time to maybe transport the more valuable aliens.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because they still need to go back and touch on that whole storyline. How did these things get out in the first place? Who let them out? Because there's no way they just got out on their own. Like these containment, containers look pretty sturdy. Like, it's the type of thing that these things are not going to get out unless there's some kind of tampering, some kind of sabotage. So we need to find out that. They need to give us the whole story as to how these things got loose on the ship, how it crashed the ship. And yes, if Morrow isn't behind this, part of me thinks he might be, but then I see how dedicated he is to recovering all these specimens. And that makes me believe that maybe there's a chance that Morrow didn't have a hand in letting these things go. We see that one scene with the engineer earlier at the very beginning of the episode, that disgruntled engineer that comes up to Morrow. We lost a lot of good men getting these pets.
Yeah.
Why don't we let loose all of these pets and end this zoo, he says.
Oh, wow.
And Morrow even says, do I need to post extra security or constrict you to your quarters? Like, because, indicating that he might be worried that they'll try and do something. So, they put that scene in there for a reason, unless that's just a massive red herring and they want us to think something more happened there. I think maybe the engineer might have had a hand. Maybe there was some kind of fight where the engineer kind of tried to, space these things, throw them out the airlock. Something went wrong. They got loose on the ship, maybe. But then there's also the wild card, the creepy Asian guy, Mr. Tang.
That was staring.
That's like, they all wake up from cryo and he's just standing there, staring at this one poor girl that's still sleeping in cryo. And he's super weird. Like this Mr. Tang character, you can tell he's super strange right from the beginning. He's walking around like I almost thought he was a synth for a while. Like he was acting so non-human. I legit thought he was a synth.
And he's not?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, he's sitting there eating. He's eating human food.
That's right.
So I'm if you're sitting there eating human food, I'm gonna at least assume he's a human until we see otherwise. But he was acting very robotic, very weird, very fucking creepy, like super creepy. Something was up with him. So part of me is wondering, where does he factor into all of this? Because that was a very specific and strange scene. It's almost like Noah Hawley and the writers wanted us to like pay attention to this Tang character and remember, okay, this super creepy guy was here. Remember him because this is going to be important. So between the engineer, that scene with the engineer and Morrow and the weird Mr. Tang, something happened between these three characters that led to these things getting out, I believe.
I think that would make for a more interesting story, because right now we are really looking at Morrow like he is the villain. And it's easy, right, to decipher. We
Captain
saw
Hook,
that he didn't save or attempt to save the other person.
No,
his
whole crew.
Shot her. Exactly.
Whole crew. You just have to die.
But it's simplistic. And maybe it's more than that. Maybe they snapped. We know that they had been on a long mission because they're complaining about the time that it took and all of the hours and time, right? So maybe they just snapped. Something happened and he's not a bad guy. He's just a good guy trying to collect.
Just trying to contain it, maybe. He is the security officer. He seems to take his job incredibly seriously. He's so dedicated to finding and containing these specimens. And we get another glimpse of that in the episode 3 trailer that we're going to play here in a minute as well, where that kind of gets reinforced again, that he's going to do everything he can to recover these specimens, especially the ones that Prodigy already has their hands on. And then when I hear a little bit more about his character, I mean, we don't know much about him yet, but before the season started, we did hear that he has some kind of connection to the Yutani family. We have the Weyland Yutani Corporation, the Prodigy Corporation, all of these other corporations. But apparently he has some kind of special connection to the Yutani family in some way, beyond him just being employed as a security member. So maybe in that lies the reason as to why he's so dedicated to recovering these specimens. Maybe there's a personal stake that is involved with him in this, not just business, not just a job. But he's an intriguing character. I mean, we know the least about him. We have no idea what his motives are. He's very morally ambiguous at times. But I'm probably most intrigued by his character.
Especially now that, you have labeled him as Captain Hook.
He's Captain Hook.
Now, suddenly he becomes more interesting.
He is Captain
Because
Hook.
if we recall in the story of Peter Pan, Captain Hook has a point. There's a reason why he dislikes Peter Pan. And it's a good reason.
Yeah.
So I do love in the chat that Judy T and Key Whisker are theorizing maybe the Xenomorph has a crush on Joe, and that's why he's and maybe he does.
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
Out of all the theories, that's the best one I've ever
theory.
heard.
It's a good freaking theory. I must say that is a good theory. And it's a really good one. Maybe we find out later that he's not human. Maybe he's a synth and they are tricking Wendy. Joe, even. That's an interesting idea, too.
I like
That's
that.
definitely an interesting idea too. That they find out later that he's a synth or maybe even a cyborg in some way. I think that's a very interesting idea as well. And maybe he doesn't know what he is. That would be more intriguing for him to be
Mhm.
something else and not know, because we already seen the father of Joe and Wendy has been convinced to do these kind of shady, underhanded, secret surgeries behind everyone's
Yeah.
back before. He did it with Wendy. Let's say they didn't do something with Joe as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely plausible for sure. Didn't the Predator create the aliens? It looked like, well, I don't think the Predator created the aliens. From what we gather, I mean, it seemed like Ridley Scott was kind of heading into this kind of territory with Prometheus and all of this stuff, in terms of maybe the engineers being the ones who created the Xenomorph. We know the engineers were the ones who created humanity. The black goo seemed to be the origin to a lot of the weird creatures that we see throughout the Alien universe. But no, from what I can gather, it seemed like they were heading more into the engineers being the creators. And I liked where Prometheus was going. I know a lot of people hate Prometheus, and again, it's got a lot of problems. I'll be the first to admit that. But conceptually, I liked where Prometheus was going. That was one of the biggest things about the first Alien film in '79, was the space jockey. The giant space jockey that they encounter on the derelict ship, and it's been the most intriguing thing in the Alien franchise for decades, absolutely decades. And they were finally kind of explaining it a little bit with Prometheus, and they just didn't do it the best way, but they were at least heading into good territory with the engineers, and I was a little bummed that got. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at this theory.
What?
The theory is growing, Chad, and I really love that.
Which one?
They're putting in the work about that the Xenomorph is in love with Joe.
Oh God.
So Star says maybe he wants to
mate with Joe. Is that what got you? I'm like, what got her? What comic got her? Something got her.
I like that the theory is developing.
Okay.
I like that, Star. It could be.
I mean, who fucking knows at this point? Anything's possible, I suppose. Anything's possible. But yeah, Morrow did it. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Make them think they found all of them so they can relax a bit. Yeah, like, release the low level ones and keep the bigger important ones, contained, and try and get them to, Yutani. Absolutely. What if he's sick like Wendy was? Maybe. I suppose if a Xenomorph kind of senses that a human is sick, I mean, part of me thinks it would just kill him at that point. But I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, it's again, I'd like to think it's not just plot armor. I hate plot armor this obvious. I like to think there is a real reason as to why Joe's escaping all these encounters. But who knows? If he's sick, they probably wouldn't want to use him for a host at the very least, to implant some kind of facehugger on him, maybe. Like maybe they can only use healthy humans to create more Xenomorphs. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Like maybe they need a fully healthy human body in order for the gestation to work. I think a facehugger got out, hugged someone, and then they put that person in cryo. Chest bursting out happened at the ship. It became compromised. It looks like that's what happened, Elizabeth. Yeah, like when the little bit that we saw about the crash, yes, one of the cryopods very much had, a clear signs of a chest burster bursting right out and getting out of the cryo tank. And that could have been what set it all off. But if that's the case, then we need to find out who infected this person. Who is the one? Because if that happened, someone did this with the clear intention that this chest burster would get out, and they must have known it was going to get loose on the ship. So this was clearly organized. This was planned meticulously. So if that is the case, who exactly put the facehugger on her or him, whoever was in that pod, to create the chest burster? And was it Mr. Tang? Was that why he was looking over that one girl sleeping in that cryopod? Did he implant a facehugger on her? Because one, a little when we saw that scene, they pan over to the right like 5-10 feet, and we see the dead facehugger, indicating to us as the audience that yes, this life cycle has begun. We've seen dead facehugger, we've seen the evidence of the chest burster. Now we know a xenomorph is near. So yeah, who infected her?
I like that, Elizabeth Jaramillo. Also, we have seen that the scientists on board have brought in animals so that they can test things out. What is the next step? The next logical step after scientists test with animals is a human trial.
True.
We can't put it past them that they would have selected somebody on board to see how the process would work with the human.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about the human race, being able to protect the human race against this threat, you need to see what happens when they take over a human.
What it's capable of. You can't combat it. You can't fight these things until you know what they are and what they're capable of. And scientists like this that are going off to the darkest corner of the galaxies and collecting all these dangerous specimens, they're scientists. They're naturally curious. Naturally, they're going to want to see what these things are capable of. Just like we're seeing right now in the episode 3 trailer with Boy Cavalere, where he's finally got a few of these things in his possession. They brought some eggs back to Prodigy. They got the Teocelius. So he's looking at all these shiny new toys for him to play with to break new ground, as he's talking about. So for people like Boy and these scientists, they see all these things and they think, we have to figure out what these things are capable of. Even right before they're going back into cryo, we see that one scientist dropping rats into the freaking tank with the leeches to see what'll happen. I wouldn't put it past one or multiple of these scientists to move to some kind of, shady human trial. Yeah, definitely. We think Morrow's cruel because he didn't save that girl, but he barely had enough time to weld the door and do his thing and jump into the pod for safety. And looking at that pod, there was no room. There's literally no room for anybody else in that pod. It was only him. So even if he would have opened the door for the girl, she still probably would have gotten killed just in that room. It would have been 5 seconds later, but she still would have died. And Morrow might have gotten killed with her at that point. So I get it. It's cold, it's calculating, but it's the right decision in that moment. If I was Morrow in that moment, I hate to say it, I probably would have made the same decision.
And excellent point, Elizabeth Jaramillo. We also get an insight to add to that. We get an insight into who he is. Yeah. When they are discussing the people that were lost in order to get these specimens, they're discussing how tired they are. He keeps saying it's all about the specimens. Like that is what it's all about. You need to remember this. They are the mission. Yeah. And so that sort of statement leads me to believe that he already was set up that way. That if worse came to worse, he was going to save the specimens over people and over himself. Even maybe he's not the bad guy. Maybe he's just somebody that appreciates the fact that there was so much labor that was put into getting these specimens that he needs to make sure that they arrive safely.
Yeah, he might just be very dedicated. He might just be very, very dedicated, and that could very well be it. The specimens are the mission. The specimens are the mission. But yeah, it was an interesting opening sequence. The first 10, 15 minutes of episode 1 was probably my favorite part of the entire first 2 episodes. Like this opening is so 1979 original Alien throwback. Like to the aesthetic, to how they wake up in the cryopods, to them to as soon as they wake up in the cryopods, you have that one guy lighting a bogey as soon as he fucking sits up. That's just how the 79 version is. You got these guys like just lighting cigarettes as soon as they got out of cryo. It was so reminiscent, and I thought it was a really good callback to the original 1979 film because they really, the aesthetic, the music was so akin to that first film as well. The opening of that first film. So this was probably my favorite part of the first 2 episodes. Just these first, few minutes seeing all this. But yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of evidence for some trouble brewing between, the engineer, this weird engineer guy.
That's dynamic.
Definitely definitely a little bit shady. A little bit shady. Definitely seems to be not very happy with the mission that they're doing. We lost a lot of men getting these
Are you
things.
asking if I
We
did
got
my
creepy
job?
Mr. Tang
Mhm.
here. Super creepy. Why are you sitting so close
He
to her?
was on her lap.
Why are you sitting so
He
close
was
to her?
basically on her lap.
Like you got a whole spaceship, bro. Why are you sitting so close to her? What is up with you? And this is the same girl he was watching when she was sleeping.
Mm.
He's creepy. Son's up with this fucking guy. Son's up with this guy, chat. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye on fucking Tang. Tang is not to be trusted. Not to be trusted, Tang. So yeah, it's got to be something like that. Morrow, Tang, the engineer. Something happened there. Although, again, like you said, the facehugger bursting out of the cryo could have set the whole thing off in the beginning. But who infected that person? Who created that xenomorph, that chest burster? Who did that in the first place? So we got to find out. We got Wall St. Tech. This is worse than collecting Boglins. I think Joe has a queen in him. Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about this queen aspect. A lot of people think we're going to see a queen on the show, a xenomorph queen. Some people even think Species 37 is a xenomorph queen. And that's an interesting theory.
Has
Definitely
a queen in him.
But yeah, I don't know.
Inside of him.
I don't know.
I like it. I like
know.
it. I think it's really creative.
I mean, if they implanted a queen inside of him, then we have to find out, like, how did this happen? When did he come in contact with a facehugger and all of this? Like, there's a lot that needs to be explained there. But I suppose anything's possible. I suppose anything is possible. A lot of people seem to think, again, we're going to see a queen at some point or another. And maybe we will. Maybe we will see a queen. But thank you so much, Wall St. Tech, for the 567. That's incredibly generous of you. Very much appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. And let us know what you guys think in the chat as well. Do you think we'll see a Xenomorph Queen at some point on the show? Or will it just be regular Xenos? What do you guys think? What do you think? Think we'll see a Queen?
I think we have to, right? At this point.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's certainly possible. I think it's 100% not outside the realm of possible, for sure. What is up, Samuel? Good to see you. What's up, Vanessa? Welcome, everybody. Good to see everyone hanging out. I'd like to see someone make an anti-xenomorph suit, alkaline to protect against the acid bullet. Yes, bite-proof. I mean, they're super strong. The claws are super sharp. We see them ripping through that metal door where Morrow is, like, pretty easily. And yes, then there's also the added, hindrance of them having acid for blood. That's why these things are so hard to fight, xenomorphs. Because once you puncture them, once you pierce them and make them bleed, their blood is literally acid that can kill you if it enough falls on you in the right area. So they're incredibly dangerous in so many different ways. They're one of the most invasive species I have ever seen in pop culture. They're designed to do maximum damage, both alive and even when they're getting killed. Like, they're just designed for maximum damage. They were bred for maximum damage, engineered for maximum damage, because they are biomechanical beings. But yeah, that'd be interesting if someone could come up with some kind of suit that could kind of resist the alien, the xenomorph a little bit, maybe.
Samuel, that reminds me of a comment actually on your latest video, which I love, by the way. They were commenting how they would like to see how the specimens were collected.
Yes.
Because of that exact same reason. These are not easy things to fight off or to capture.
No.
So how is it that you were able to capture so many species, especially if you're capturing them from their home planet? You would think that all the others would have prevented you from kidnapping them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. Why we've seen quite a few comments and on our videos of people saying exactly that. We want to see how these things were captured. How, like, because it's a valid question. These are some of the most dangerous freaking beings in anywhere in the galaxy. Capturing them would not be any small task by any means. And yeah, you would definitely stand to lose tons of fucking people. So you kind of see the engineer's beef here in this moment. Like, hey, it's easy for you to say cyborg. You didn't die. We lost a lot of good men trying to get these things on board. So yeah, I would love to see a flashback or at least an explanation as to how they even caught these things in the first place, because it's not easy. It's not easy to capture creatures like this. They're super super dangerous. So we'll see. Maybe we shall see in a flashback. Maybe Boy will figure out an anti-xenomorph suit. Maybe. Maybe. Beer feet on the table, no respect.
Yeah, Peter Pan.
Yeah. Yeah, good old Boy. I think the Xeno is female or maybe even gender fluid. Fluid. Funny. I mean, well, we do hear Joe refer to it as she, like, she, but, you see that happen a lot, like people referring to unknown things as, oh man, she's a beaut, she's a big one, kind of thing. So I don't know.
That's an interesting question. However, why does it need specifically to be Joe?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I like it. I like the theory that he's into him. I'm gonna go with that one, chat. You guys always have the best theories. That's gonna be mine.
Interesting. Yeah, Queen is possible, but maybe not in the first season, says Kiwi. Do you think we will see a connection to the Predators? I don't know. That's definitely an interesting question, Wolf Spear. That's another question I've seen quite a few times, because the Predator universe and the Alien universe has crossed over multiple times. We've had tons of Aliens versus Predator movies. The Blade Runner universe is also set within the universe of Alien and all of that as well. So there's definitely tons of possibilities for crossovers. Tons of crossovers. Will we see any Predators? I don't think we'll see any Predators in season 1. Could we see like any kind of vague connection to the Predators, like some kind of Easter egg pointing to the Predators? Maybe. I could definitely see something like that, but I don't think we'll see any like full-fledged Predators, at least not in the first season. But maybe in later seasons we could potentially have a Predator appearance in one of these episodes, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe if it's successful, I see the storyline really just being the species. These species that they have collected and the really special one, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't see it expanding beyond that, not for the first season.
Not for the first season. I think for the first season, keep it kind of as grounded as you possibly can. You're already introducing a ton of new creatures that you have to balance already with these leeches, the Teocelius, all these other weird things. Yeah, something like having a Predator, enter into the storyline some way. I could see that maybe, but yeah, probably not in season 1. Maybe down the road though. We'll see. In the comics, they have suits that acid doesn't eat through. Yeah, maybe we could see something like that. I don't know. I suppose it's possible. Maybe. Queen had to lay eggs, so it must be nearby. And that's the thing. I mean, anytime you see the eggs, that usually means there's a queen nearby. I mean, a queen had to lay these eggs. And you see the amount of eggs that they have on that ship, which was another kind of telltale sign. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of eggs on that ship. Tons of xenomorph eggs they have. So either they came upon, a hatchery of just eggs that have been laid by the queen, because the queens will do that. They'll lay dozens and dozens of eggs and have like their own hatchery. Either that happened, either they stumbled upon these eggs already hatched, or maybe there is a queen, closer than we think, and that's how they got the eggs. But yeah, had to be a queen nearby at the very least, for sure. They have those stun guns, so it might be easier to immobilize them temporarily, and a lot of salvage and research vessels have synths, maybe to capture creatures. Maybe. Yeah. Morrow definitely took out the Xenomorph pretty quick with that stun gun, and kind of shot that weird organic like cocoon webbing over it. That was very weird, very strange choice of containment device. Especially on a ship, it could melt. Oh yeah, it could melt a hole right through. Humans have home field advantage this time. Very good point, Samuel. And that's one thing that I did enjoy, and you see it in some of the Alien films where, because yes, if you're fighting this Xenomorph in the dead of space on a spaceship and you kill it, its acid is going to tear right through the ship. It's going to tear right through the metal of the ship, pull a hole in the ship, and you could be fucked at that point, completely screwed. But yeah, here we're on Earth, so the blood isn't going to be as much as a danger as it would be in space, for sure.
And completely, Samuel, the home field advantage or disadvantage, because now it raises the stakes. Now it's not just about one ship of people and human lives being lost, but if they get out into the real world, it's all of humanity.
It's potentially the entire Earth that could be completely overrun and decimated by, I mean, just the xenomorphs alone could potentially end things on their own if they multiply enough. But then you add all these other shits on top of it, all these other fucking weird, dangerous species on top of it. Yeah, you're looking at an extinction level event.
Yeah.
If you cannot get these things contained, for sure. But we shall see. My favorite scene was Santa Claus Morrow dragging the Xeno in his toy bag. It did look kind of funny like that. He just kind of grabs it and drags it away. Yeah, a little Santa with his toys vibe.
Quite fearless, though.
For sure, yeah.
You know, he really is fearless. Because when he did that, I was surprised that he would even want to take this thing that had been pursuing him and is so dangerous, take it with him. And where was he going?
Yeah, where was he going with it?
Who is he bringing this to?
That's what I was wondering. Is he going to try and get back to the ship and throw it in a containment case, maybe? I don't know, you know, because even if he does successfully do that, he's still in the middle of Prodigy territory. How is he going to get it out of there at that point? So he's got an uphill battle in front of him, Morrow, to get these things back to Weyland-Yutani. I'd rather see engineers over predators. Yes, Samuel, 100% agree with you, my friend. 100 million bajillion % agree with you. I'd much rather see engineer action than predator action. Not that I don't like the Predator. I love the Predator franchise. I pray, I really do. I pray one day we'll get a good Alien Predator crossover, because every Alien versus Predator crossover we've gone up until this point hasn't been super good. It's you know, these two franchises are so good on their own, yet whenever they're brought together, it just never works well, at least in my opinion anyway, from the ones that they've done. So I really hope at some point we get a really good Alien versus Predator film or show, or even if it's just a good episode on this series. But yeah, give me engineers over predators any day. For me, the engineers are just 10 times more fascinating. But who knows? We shall see. We shall see. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Yep, famous lines. Famous lines. Yeah, hive mind would be a cool thing to see. Yeah, if there could be some kind of interesting hive mind within the xenomorphs, or some kind of hive mind all linking back to the Queen, maybe. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's take a look at this episode 3 trailer, and I want to hear what you guys have to say, and you as well, of course. We shall see, because again, episode 3, the trailer looks pretty interesting. Again, I think we're going to see some pretty interesting setup. I think it's in large part, I think it is going to be laying the groundwork for whatever big event is coming in episode 4, because we are hearing something massive is coming in episode 4 that really kind of, you know, sets the tone for the second half of the show, because there's only 8 episodes, unfortunately. I wish there were 10 or 12, but there's only 8 episodes. So episode 4 will be that halfway mark that will kind of maybe change the tone of the show for the second half. But episode 4 is the big one from what I'm hearing, like a really big episode. But let's take a look at the episode 3 trailer, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat. What do you think about the episode 3 trailer? We will go through it and talk a little bit about it, and see what you guys have to say, and of course you as well. Start this again, my most anticipated kind of meeting. I really want to see these two characters have some scenes together. I love both of these actors so freaking much, and I'm loving their characters so much on the show. I think Kirsch and Morrow are the two most intriguing characters up until this point, just for me personally. I like Wendy too, and again, I like Boy with the whole Peter Pan aspect that they're playing with Boy is interesting as well. But I I really like Kirsch and I really like Morrow, and I really want to see these two have some scenes. And it's going to be interesting to see how this little standoff, plays out. Who's going to win?
His motivation, Kirsch, Tinkerbell's motivation.
Yeah.
It's to me is really interesting because it seems like he really genuinely cares for the children.
Yeah.
But yet
Hence Tinkerbell.
He's doing, some things that show us that he cares about the company first.
He cares about the company.
So is he faking
Yeah.
the care and the concern for the children?
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's faking it. I just think his programming is kind of programmed to where the company, the overall betterment of the company comes first, no matter what.
Mm.
But I do think as much as he is a synthetic, he's not human. So in terms of like quote unquote caring, I think he cares as much as he can in terms of what his programming allows him to. In terms of his programming is to keep them safe. Boy looks right at him, says, "You'll go with them. You'll keep, you'll look after them." So his job is to keep them safe. So I do think he, will to the best of his ability. But I think the general good of the company overall probably supersedes his orders for this.
The children.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, let's see.
You're on my ship.
The ship belongs to me now.
All this ground to break. New life forms with acid for blood.
Ah, man.
You're on my ship.
The ship belongs to me now.
You're on my ship. This ship belongs to me now.
So Captain Hook, right?
I love it.
Such a Captain Hook.
You're on my ship.
Line.
And I love that. I just love the meeting. I can't wait to see how these two kind of interact. And, with Kirsch just coming right back at him. Hey, sorry, pal. This ship belongs to me now. Great fucking scene. I can't wait for this episode.
And also for a boy's intelligence. He says that he is the most intelligent person in the world.
Yeah.
He is looking at a new alien species that is opening up, and he's putting his face right in it to the point where he has to protect them. So, it just amazes me because he's supposed to be the most intelligent person ever in the world.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's a difference between intelligence and wisdom.
Mm.
And we even hear Boy talking about that earlier. Like, he's like, what, I want to, climb to the mountaintop and debate with someone that can actually blow my mind. I want to have a real conversation with somebody that's actually on his level. That is what Boy is searching for. And the doctor asked him at one point, what about Kirsch? Because Kirsch is a supercomputer. He's smart and smartest in the world. But Boy says, there's a difference between that kind of smarts and wisdom. Wisdom is something that is cultivated over time with experience. You can't program wisdom. You can't download wisdom into a synthetic. It's something that comes with experience, There's a difference between wisdom and intelligence, I guess. And that's what Boy's looking for. Boy is looking for someone with wisdom to debate with, not just computer smarts and intelligence and, algorithmic intelligence. That's the difference, I think. Yes, I agree. I think it's more about programming too. Yeah, I think it's more around the programming. Again, these synths, they really are only doing the things that they're programmed to do for the most part. Yeah. Oh, well, he's the captain now. It does have the I'm the captain now vibes, doesn't it? The old Captain Phillips film. It does have those vibes. This shit belongs to me now. Is that the sheriff from the Crazies? It is. Yes. That is him. He was in the Crazies, and he was also Raylan Givens, the U.S. Marshal from Justified. He had his own show on FX a few years ago. It was really good. He played a U.S. Marshal fucking brilliantly. It was really good. It was actually a really good show. I think Cavalere could be interesting. He seems like a trashmanism guy trying to make humanity perfect beings. He definitely has a little bit of this God complex. You look at him and this is why I kind of, in some small ways, kind of compare him to Victor Frankenstein. Yes. He has a little bit of Victor Frankenstein in him in terms of, he's after a similar goal. He's trying to be the first to do this new form of life. Synthetics have been around, cyborgs have been around, but never before have we had a synthetic body infused with a human mind. This is a new form of life. This is creating life, creating a whole new form of life. And in a sense, finding the answer to death. if you can stuff a human mind into a synthetic body, you have essentially cured death. You have cured death. That is, I think that is the feeling Boy is looking for. He's trying. He has that God complex where he wants to create life, not just any life though. He wants to create superior life to anything that's already around. Better than synth, better than cyborg, better than human, something different entirely, something more, something lasting. And he's done it. He's done it with creating these hybrids. So I do get, for me, like when I see Boy, yes, I see all the Peter Pan influence, which is very, very right there for you to see. But there's very much, some good Victor Frankenstein influence behind Boy's character as well that I'm loving so far.
I mean, I agree. And Boy Cavalier is interesting in the way that he is saying that he wants to create, right? A better form of life. Yet when Wendy herself tells him, I'm human, he says, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So this is his creation, and you would think that he would see them as human, a better type of human, right? Yeah. He does not see them as human.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, and he does call them our children. These are our children now.
Yeah. And that kind of leads in to what Star's saying here, but did he just make a machine because the soul is not transferred? And I guess that's the whole essence. And that's the kind of underlying storyline that is kind of concurrent throughout the whole series as to what does it mean to be human? What actually defines humanity? Is it, a human body, a human brain, a human mind, a soul, as you mentioned? What is humanity? And again, like you said, Wendy, she considers herself human. She very much thinks that she is still human. And even some of the doctors say that, yes, she's in a synthetic mind, but there's a human brain, there's a human mind in this body. So this isn't just your average kind of AI synthetic being. It's a synthetic body with a human mind. So I guess that is where the question kind of is. Is it human enough? I mean, is it still human enough from a certain point of view? I think it is. I agree with you. I tend to think it is to a certain extent. They do have their humanity left because, again, yes, we hear them talk right after Wendy's created about how, when she had her human body, the brain produced chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, all these different chemicals that are, indicative of your mood. She doesn't have that anymore. Now that she has a synthetic body, they tried to replicate it as much as they could. They tried to simulate what it would be like for an adolescent mind to grow into this body. So it wasn't just like flipping a switch, they said. But at the end of the day, all they can do is try and simulate it as best as they can. It's never going to be that full human experience. So it does beg that question. Are they human? How much of their humanity is left into them? How much of their humanity made the transfer? Did their quote unquote soul travel with them? And what is your soul at the end of the day? What makes up your soul? Is it your personality, your being, who you are, your memories? I like to think our souls are tied to our memories in a lot of way. I feel like your memory makes you who you are. If we were to lose our memory, tomorrow we would all be a completely different person. Completely different.
That is very true.
Completely different person in every single way from the person we are today if we were to wake up tomorrow with no memories. So in a lot of ways, memories are who you are. That is who you are. And in a sense, that is your soul. It's your being, your consciousness, who you are. So I think with that, making the transfer over with Wendy, she has all of her memories. She's the same, she's kind of, she seems to have a similar attitude to the Wendy that was human. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, how much of her is human now and how much of her is machine?
That's an excellent question, right? And that's why I love the show, because when you look at it, and we were talking about this in the other stream, you look at an alien show. And so we're just thinking, it's your typical alien show, but it goes beyond that. There is a storyline that talks about what is it to be human? Philosophical debate in itself in an alien show. To me, when I think about the soul, I think that a soul is hope and suffering. I think that is what having a soul is, because you can rationalize, right? If you have a brain, you could rationalize, or even a computerized brain, you could rationalize what is the best case scenario or course of action for any given obstacle in your life. But I think what makes the soul is having this hope that if you do something good, more good would come of it. Like Wendy, we see that she has this deep hope that her brother and her can reunite, even though they told her, you are to never, tell him that you are alive. She still remained hopeful. She had this deep desire to reconnect with her family. And I think that that in itself is a soul. It's hope.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. The brain is a receiver of consciousness, not the creator. And maybe, maybe there could be some of that. Absolutely. Because they do bring up that question, are they murderers? They are murderers, Susie. Well, we do even hear them talk about that. We hear one of the scientists say it in one of the in the trailer for what's still to come in the rest of the season. He says, at best case scenario, we have a bunch of AIs running around thinking they're human. Worst case scenario, we killed 6 kids. That's what the scientist says. Because again, I think the underlying current and the underlying question of what does it mean to be human is going to be a big part of the series. I mean, it's going to be a big, major underlying storyline that plays out throughout the rest of this. What is humanity? What does it mean to be human? Are these hybrids still human? Will be a big part of their storyline, I think. I guess what makes up humanity at the end of the day is the question. I think that is always going to vary, from person to person. What do you consider to be humanity? What do you consider to be your human self, your soul, quote unquote, your memories, your personality? What makes you you? I guess is going to determine whether or not people still view Wendy and the hybrids as humans or just machines now.
And in a way, I think maybe your desire to be human makes you human. Because Wendy is not human, but she has this deep desire and belief that she is, in fact, human. But then in contrast to Wendy, we see Captain Hook, right?
Yeah.
Morrow, he is human. He only has a synthetic arm.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's 100% human. He has emotions, fear.
Yeah.
And we see him time and time again try to separate himself from humanity. Try to be more than human, to have no emotion, to do what is considered to be the right thing for the specimens, but maybe not for the people on board. That in itself takes a level of rationalizing where you put yourself above human life. And somebody in the chat commented, when 2 of the people that went into the ship at the beginning to rescue the people on board, they called them brother. One of them, who was also African American, called them brother.
Yeah, he's like, don't leave me here, brother. Yeah.
He looked at him and said, I'm not your brother.
It seems like he has just this complete detachment from humanity. Like he has completely emotionally, just completely detached himself from the rest of humanity. He doesn't view himself as human anymore. He views himself as more. And we see that in some of the later trailers as well, where we hear Morrow talking to the hybrids. And he says, it feels good to be more than human, doesn't it? But it comes with a price. Do you know what that is? I'm looking forward to seeing that scene later on. But and this is the really interesting kind of yin and yang dichotomy between Morrow, the cyborg, and the hybrids. Yeah. They're kind of polar opposites in terms of how they view themselves and what they want. Morrow desperately wants to view himself as more than human, as better than human, as above humanity. Whereas the hybrids, Wendy and them, or at least Wendy up until this point, is desperately trying to look at herself still as human. So it's an interesting kind of, seeing it from those 2 different POVs is pretty interesting. And you see the motives behind them, where Morrow just wants to be better than humanity. He wants to be more efficient. And all they want to do is hold on to their humanity.
And beyond humanity, they see themselves as children. We get a lot of Wendy in her room with all of her stuffies. She has all of these teddy bears. She's surrounding herself by childhood. So it goes beyond even just the human. They want to be stuck in this facet of their life where they are children,
Yeah.
which brings us back to Peter Pan, the forever children.
Yeah. The Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. And yeah, really, prequels try to explain that immortality is impossible, in my opinion. Well, I mean, what's interesting about this whole hybrid technology is, like, yeah, if you look at the rest of the Alien franchise, like where the Alien franchise goes on to go after this, there's no hybrids. There's no hybrids in any of the other Alien films, which stands to reason that this hybrid technology doesn't last. It doesn't make it. Whatever happens, something breaks down and it seems to get abandoned at some point. At the very least, something happens, because there are no hybrids in any of the future Alien installments. And if this technology was so prevalent, you think you would have saw them. I mean, obviously, yes, there's a reason why we haven't seen any hybrids in any of the other Alien films, because this was just made up just right now. But since this is a prequel, and since it would create some major continuity errors, I have to imagine by the end of Alien Earth, this series, the technology to create the hybrids will be destroyed and lost forever, because it's something that just can't continue within the canon.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I don't think the hybrids are long for this world. I think by the time Alien Earth is over, the hybrid technology will be completely gone. It has to be. It has to be. If you're honoring canon, it has to be. If you care about canon, you care about the continuity of the Alien franchise, by the end of this series, the hybrid technology has to get destroyed in one way or another, because that's the only way to explain why we don't see them anywhere else.
Could it be like Demicel and Foundation, where we are to believe that they no longer exist, but they could?
Secretly, maybe. At that point, it would feel a little bit more like a retcon than something planned, like something that they retcon, like, oh, there was actually really hybrids the whole time, they were just in hiding. Yeah, it just feels lazy to go that route. I mean, it's possible, yeah. But I mean, just continuity wise, I think it would be best for Noah Hawley to make sure that these hybrids are gone by the time this series ends, just for canon's sake. But maybe not. We have heard him talk about in some other kind of interviews that his kind of his need to stick super close to canon wasn't all too great, which had a lot of us, some of us a little bit nervous heading into the series that canon might not be as respected as maybe it should. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
And that's an interesting question. Would you be okay if they make adjustments and they don't stick to the story, to canon? You and the chat, would you guys be okay with that? I think a lot of us are new to the whole Alien franchise, and so we don't have that attachment. Therefore, we would completely be okay with them making changes because we're getting to know them in the series, not in the movies, right? But how do you guys feel if you do have that attachment?
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, I think that's a good point. I think it's a matter of point of view. Like, people that are coming into Alien Earth that haven't been like super, super, super big fans of the Alien franchise, they probably wouldn't mind, seeing that, or maybe probably might not even notice some of these changes. But yeah, if you're like a super diehard Alien fan like I am, and I know some of you are, I mean, you'd like to see canon at least considered, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, just give it time. They'll go Battlestar Galactica. Believe it or not, I still have not seen Battlestar Galactica. Never watched it in my life. I always meant to check it out at some point. I know it's one of the most popular sci-fi series in the world, or at least it was in the beginning from what I hear. Never have seen Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen it. I'll check it out at some point, but I still have not seen it. He has started to view humanhood or human flesh as weakness. Yeah, I mean, he wants to be more. It's a perception. He wants to be perceived as more than human. Absolutely, definitely. Never seen Blade Runner. Oh, Blade Runner is great. Blade Runner is also set in the same kind of universe as Alien. Watch party, anyone? We could do a Blade Runner watch party at some point. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I like the Blade Runner franchise. I think it's pretty good. David's hybrids were interesting. Yeah, David's little hybrid experiments that he was making on Prometheus and Alien Covenant and all of that. He was doing some weird, interesting experiments there, creating some weird hybrids, like the Deacon kind of xenomorph creature that gets created at the end of Prometheus from, the like apparently we only see it in its very small baby form. Apparently it had like an alpha form that they didn't use in the movie, but they had sketched out and conceptualized. Yeah, David was creating some weird, funky stuff from the glue. Absolutely, from the black goo, for sure. Corporations found a loophole for child labor, puts a kid's mind into an adult hybrid body. I mean, in a sense, yes, this is child experiment, child exploitation in some ways. Yeah, immortality is not eternity. Eternal is soul. Yeah, I mean, what is immortal? What is eternity? I don't know. I'm down for a Blade Runner watch party. Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to do that. We can do a Blade Runner watch party. We can set that up. For at some point. Absolutely. Yeah, keep an eye out on the Discord or on the streams. I will definitely we'll set something up for sure. Aliens, like my favorite movie of all time. Aliens, so the second one, Aliens. I like Aliens too. I like the first one the best for me personally. The original 1979 Aliens, my favorite. But I like Aliens. Aliens goes in a bit of a different direction where Alien 1 from 79 is very much your kind of survival horror kind of aspect format, whereas Aliens is more of the kind of sci-fi action adventure kind of militaristic kind of format. It's really the military going up a bunch of these aliens. Who's going to win? Just one giant big fight, which is fun, but I like the horror aspect of the way the first film is set up, how it's like a pure horror film, whereas the second one's more of a sci-fi action film. But they're still both great films. They are. It's 1 and 2 are both great, for sure. I'm new to the franchise. Awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people are. I think there's probably a lot of people that are new to the Alien franchise on a show like this, because a show like this presents a good opportunity for people that haven't watched Alien before to get into Alien.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really necessarily, I mean, yes, if you go back and watch some of the earlier Alien films before you watch Alien Earth, you might have some context for a little bit better context for some certain things that you see. But even if not, you could watch Alien Earth having not seen anything Alien and still, enjoy it. For sure. Alien's one of my favorites. Firefly is good as well. Alien meets Blade Runner. Good stuff. I love canon, but I don't think they plan to stick to canon. Yes, I think Noah Hawley has kind of hinted as much that he's not like super concerned with canon. The director of Alien Romulus tried to reach out to Noah Hawley to talk canon to see if their two films would be like intersecting in any way, and Noah Hawley refused to talk to him.
Wow, why? Why do you think?
Because he just wanted to do his own thing. He's not
Just doesn't care.
He's just not super concerned with canon, which is a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a shame. Besides, a lot of films kind of threw canon out of the window anyways. They do, unfortunately. Unfortunately, canon doesn't get respected as well as it should these days. What do I think about the show? Personally, I don't want Peter Pan in my Alien show, but different strokes for different folks. And I totally get that. It is a little bit, it's a weird kind of influence for a character. But for me, I like to look at it as this isn't going to be like the Peter Pan influence that we know of him, the Peter Pan that we know. Mm-hmm. Try to think of, or if you haven't read about it, look it up, the earliest drafts, the earliest versions of Peter Pan. Not the kind of Peter Pan that everybody thinks of nowadays, the Robin Williams movie or the cartoon. The original earliest first drafts of Peter Pan were a lot darker. It was a lot darker. The story was, not just the story, but Peter Pan himself does some very questionable and at times outright evil things. Like, you know, I mean, takes off Captain Hook's hand, but not only that, he does some very nefarious things, even to some of the Lost Boys. The earliest drafts of Peter Pan, he's a much darker character, and part of me gets the feeling that Boy is going to be modeled off the darker version of Peter Pan. Not this, like, I think there's going to be aspects of this kind of, you know, eternal boy Peter Pan, but it seems like the underlying influence is going to be a little bit more of that earlier first draft of that darker version of Peter Pan. At least I'm hoping they're going in that direction.
Most fairy tales are dark, but I get it, Brandon. You wouldn't think that Peter Pan and aliens, you know, would mix. I was actually really surprised that they were going in so hardcore Peter Pan. It wasn't just one reference here and there. They also put up, while the children were transitioning to their synthetic body, a scene from Peter Pan. He's reading the book from Peter Pan. So it's very heavily in the show. Talking about Captain Hook and Peter Pan, it makes me wonder, was Boy Cavalere involved in Moro losing his hand? Because he does have a synthetic hand. So at some point he lost it. Is that how he's so connected with the other company? So personally connected? Maybe he has a vendetta against them. And so he went and really connected himself with this company that's against Boy Cavalere. Why wouldn't he? Maybe. If he took his hand?
I did find it interesting that when Morrow first encounters the Prodigy security team and he kind of ties them up, the first thing he asks them is, "Where's Boy Cavalere?" And he's and the guard's like, "The trillionaire? How the fuck would I know?" But that was the first thing he asked. The first thing Morrow asks is, "Where is Boy Cavalere?" And he's like, "How would I know where the fucking trillionaire is? I'm a fucking lowly grunt soldier. That's it." So who knows, man? Maybe there's a little something more there. Why was he asking specifically for Boy? What does he want with Boy Cavalere specifically? I mean, this is the head of the company. This isn't someone you get easy access to. So why are you asking for him? I don't know. Maybe. And yeah, I mean, I'm getting scolded. I mean, and rightfully so, because I hear Battlestar Galactica is real good. You're missing out on Battlestar Galactica, man. There is some talking about when they start fighting goes hard. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna have to check it out for sure. You've never seen Battlestar Galactica, Jeremy? What the fuck? What the frack? I'm gonna check it out. You guys have shamed me. I feel shamed. I am shamed. What can I say? There is nothing more I can say other than I am shamed. Shamed. I own my shame. I will check out Battlestar Galactica, and at some point we'll talk a little bit about it for sure. For sure. Yeah, thankfully he does consult Ridley Scott. At least that's he does. Ridley Scott was consulted, and that makes me feel a little bit better. I don't really mind too much that he didn't talk to the Alien Romulus director personally, because I didn't like Alien Romulus. I would love Alien Romulus to never have existed in the Alien franchise. I feel like the first 2 acts of that film were great, and the third act of that film just fell off a fucking cliff for me. But yeah, I'm totally fine with him not talking to the Alien Romulus director. I mean, Fede Alvarez, I believe his name is. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Romulus. I liked how it started, liked where it was going. Again, the first 2 acts of Romulus are great. Third act completely falls apart and goes into nonsensical land for me personally. But who knows? This is more Hook. Yeah, the OG Pan is a creep. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that this is a little bit more of the darker kind of versions of the character, the earliest darker versions of the characters for sure. Absolutely. Y'all should read the actual Little Mermaid. I've never read that myself.
Oh, that one is bad.
Is it? Yeah.
That one is bad.
No shit.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the new Cinderella horror movie, the body horror. It's based on the real Cinderella story, which is also devastating.
Yeah.
Most fairy tales are really bad.
They're dark. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Disney has Disneyfied them up over the decades. But you look at some of these stories, a lot of these stories, and their first original versions, their first drafts of these things were very dark. And I always bring up Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a perfect example of a story that has been watered down and kind of bastardized over the years and reduced to a kind of cheap Halloween character. Now people hear the word Frankenstein and they think the monster's name
The
is
green
Frankenstein.
monster,
People
yeah.
hear Frankenstein and they think of the monster. It's like, no, Frankenstein's the freaking scientist. Fuck. This poor story has been stomped on and trampled and just turned into again a pop culture Halloween costume at this point. It's so tragic considering the original Mary Shelley novel of Frankenstein is such a good, deep, and tragic story. With some of the best writing, some of the best characters, some of the best plot lines, and some of the best overall underlying kind of themes that it kind of imparts onto the reader by the time you're done reading it. Victor Frankenstein is one of the most tragic characters in the history of literature, and to see him and his monster turned into this all these years later, it's a shame. That's why I really hope that Guillermo del Toro is going to do Frankenstein justice.
And I think he is.
I hope so.
Because when you look at the trailer, he's exploring the idea of playing God. But he's focusing more on the scientist than he is on the monster. And
That's
we
what it should
haven't
be.
really had that.
That's what it should be.
We have not really had that.
No, not in any good way anyway.
Yeah.
No.
But I like thinking of Boy Cavalere in this Frankenstein's monster sort of way. Because he is so cruel to the children when you think about it. He does not care about the money. A lot of people were saying maybe it's about the money and the fame, being able to say that he eradicated mortality. But he tells us himself, he does not care about the money. He has
Doesn't care about money.
trillions.
Yeah,
It's not about the
bragging
money.
rights or anything like that.
It's about this experiment.
Yeah.
He's tinkering and experimenting, and that in itself, right? It's Frankenstein's monster.
It is. It's Frankenstein. It's like you said, not for money. He's doing this because he wants to achieve something that he thinks is unachievable. He wants to climb to that mountaintop and have that one truly kind of breathtaking moment where he finally feels like he's not the smartest person in the room for once. And Victor Frankenstein has a very similar vibe to every fucking room he walks into. He thinks he's the smartest man in the room, and he usually is. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame to see what's happened to Frankenstein over the years. So I really hope Guillermo del Toro kind of shows people the tragic side and the more human side of this story and what it ultimately means, and trying to create this new form of life, and ultimately
failing,
being one of those things where, while failing, almost kind of succeeding in a sense. Whereas be careful what you wish for. Victor Frankenstein wanted to create this new form of life so much, and he did. And then when he did, he realized what he did and was a huge mistake.
Yeah. And
it's like you don't see any of that in any of the Frankenstein films or any of the adaptations over the years. Like, you just never see that story done justice. I haven't yet anyway. And yes, I would love to see it to be a little bit more of a focus on Victor Frankenstein. They tried to do that with the movie Victor Frankenstein a few years ago, where James McAvoy played Victor Frankenstein. And it was more of a focus on him creating the monster, but it just wasn't good. It was more kind of PG, more kind of mainstream. They didn't really go deep into Mary Shelley's lore. They didn't really go deep into who Victor Frankenstein is as a character. It was more of a mainstream look at it, and it just wasn't good. I want to see a serious version of them diving into what and who Victor Frankenstein was, and I hope Guillermo del Toro is the one to do it.
I really like this angle for aliens, because it makes us ask the second question. Right now, you have created Wendy and all of the other children. At some point, just like Frankenstein's monster, Wendy is going to want companion, somebody that will also never die, just like her. Otherwise, anybody that she ever loved will continuously die. So she's going to need a partner.
Frankenstein's bride, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and we even get a little sense of that in the beginning, like when Wendy was by herself, and then Kirsch and the other scientists say the other children have arrived, and she's like, I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah.
She's wanted companionship. She's wanted company for ever since she was created, and now she's finally getting that. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm enjoying the show so far. I am. We got Robert Saunders for $5. Thank you so much, Robert. Very much appreciate you, my friend. In Aliens, the bio for Nostromo Captain Arthur Dallas is seen in the background, and his former employer is the Tyrell Corporation from Blade Runner. Yeah, I love how all of these franchises are connected. A lot of people don't, I mean, surprisingly, a lot of people don't even really know that the Blade Runner universe is connected to the Alien universe. It is. It very much is. It's been confirmed by Ridley Scott himself numerous times. It is in the same continuity, the same universe, same worlds. And yeah, I didn't see that though, Robert. In Aliens, the bio for the Nostromo Captain. I know Arthur Dallas, of course. One of the best freaking characters in that first film. Yeah, seen in the background in his former employer is the Tyrell Corporation from Blade Runner. Yeah, it's all tied together, and I love how they're all in these kind of one giant universe. Blade Runner, Alien, and Predator too. They're all kind of in the same thing. I saw it recently. Romulus was all right, I guess. It was okay. It was not great. Again, the first 2 acts of the film, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The third act of the film just fell off a cliff for me. For me, I guess I'm tired of seeing the whole kind of human xenomorph hybrid attempted to get made. We've seen this thing attempted numerous times, and it just never quite works. It always comes off a little goofy for me personally. It was kind of scary looking. I'll give them that. Like design and creature wise in Alien Romulus, the human xenomorph hybrid looked a little scary. But it also looked so nonsensical as well. The thing was like 12 fucking feet tall. It was super skinny. It could like barely walk. I'm tired of the human xenomorph hybrids already. So that really ruined Romulus for me. But up until that point, Romulus was good. The first 2 acts were good. But I don't know. That is just me. Yes, yeah, Romulus. Yeah, I didn't like Romulus. Romulus was okay, but no aliens. Yeah, it's no alien, and it's no aliens for sure. All right, let's continue taking a look at this trailer here.
I'm gonna get
New life forms with acid for blood.
New life forms with acid for blood. And here again, they play up the Peter Pan aspect very well with him. He's always in pajamas. Boy is always
barefoot.
In pajamas and barefoot. He's always just lamping around. Very Peter Pan-esque, that forever boy syndrome that he has. And you could definitely tell that he is looking at all these things as just shiny new toys for him to play with. He is a kid in a fucking candy shop right now, and he cannot wait to see what he can do and what he can get out of these things. So
his attitude, they're mine. Yeah. They're on my property, so they're mine. As soon as he found out that the head of the other corporation wanted the specimens back, even she volunteered to have a team go in there and remove them. Yeah. He wanted them.
Yeah. He wants them for himself. He wants to experiment. Here we see that they've successfully captured the Teocelius. We know that they have some eggs. They have the creepy, that might be one of the creepy face huggers. Yeah, they got some specimens. They successfully grabbed some of these specimens for themselves, and now it's experimentation time, which means we are most likely going to see this scene in episode 2 as well. A week or so before Alien Earth aired, there was a special little sneak peek at an experiment. And it looks like we're going to get this in episode 3, I believe, where they are experimenting with the Teocelius. They're going to let the Teocelius loose in that little room with the sheep and see what happens. And we get a little preview of that here.
They shouldn't be here. Species from other worlds. Millions of years old. Killers.
it is. Connecting the little sheep. So yeah, the experimentations are going to start. They're going to start experimenting with these things and seeing what can happen. And with the Teocelius, knowing that it can invade, this almost anything organic, it seems, through the eye socket via the optical nerve and attach itself to the brain and essentially control. Essentially, it's a form of mind control.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that's something that Prodigy is going to want to at least try and replicate. If they can manufacture whatever is causing this connection and causing this mind control, if they can manufacture that and artificially create that, that's going to make them a lot of money. Or it's going to be a very impressive achievement, if nothing else. So I imagine that's going to be something they're going to want to replicate.
And that was one of the comments that was also very popular in your video. A lot of people immediately saw this creature and wanted him to take over one of the Xenomorphs.
Yes.
Which,
yes.
as you stated, that's actually not something that could happen, right? Since it's not organic.
Well, the Xenomorph, it might be able to, because the Xenomorph is biomechanical. So part of it is organic and part of it's biomechanical. I don't think he can take over the synthetics, though. I saw a few people wondering if the Teocelius can infect one of these synthetics. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be possible. The synthetics seem to be 100% artificial. I don't see how the Teocelius could ever infect a regular synthetic. But a Xenomorph, that's an interesting one, because they're because they're biomechanical. They do have some organic parts to them. So there might be a possibility that the Teocelius could infect a Xenomorph.
And the question, did they collect all of these specimens in the same planet, or was it from different planets? Because then you're putting creatures that have never been together in a room together.
Exactly. No, it seems like it's different planets. Because when we hear Morrow say it, we've collected 5 of the deadliest specimens from the darkest corners of the universe.
Wow!
So that indicates that these were all found on multiple different worlds. I don't think they all came from the same planet. It seemed like it was multiple different planets. Everybody is loving the eye creature so far. Like, people are loving the Teocelius. Out of all the questions, out of all the comments in terms of like the new aliens that people are liking, for some reason, people are loving the Teocelius.
It's an interesting little creature, and it reminds me of it like an octopus, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. For me, I just really want to see Species 37 at this point. I really want to see.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. The theories of it being a queen is interesting. The theory, it potentially being an insectoid, I think is also very interesting. We got that gestation kind of trailer that before the series began, that was a kind of video of Species 37, its metamorphosis, it gestating and mutating into something else. And we also see it kind of flying out into the ship. It looked like it was clearly flying, which could be a queen maybe, but part of me wonders if it's going to be this insectoid. We're hearing that we're going to see some kind of insectozoid character, some insectozoid alien on the show. That's been rumored up until this point. I don't know. Could be a queen, could be insectozoid, could be something completely different entirely at this point. Do you think the Teocelius gains the memories of its host? That's a good question. AXZ. I don't know. If it's taking over the brain, if it's controlling the mind, I have to imagine it's probably not too much of a stretch to think that it could tap into the memories as well, because we also hear the Teocelius is smart. It has like capabilities and intelligence that's kind of on par with a human. It's not like a stupid animal that just possesses things, like it's got like human level intelligence. So yeah, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to think that it can kind of tap into the memories of the host. What do you think?
I think it would make sense. And then to follow up with that question, AXC insane. What is its purpose?
Yeah.
So let's say that it can retain its memories. When we see the cat, it's just kind of stumbling around. The sheep too, right? It seems to be stumbling around in pain.
Yeah.
But if it successfully infiltrates a human, right?
Yeah.
What is its purpose then?
Why exactly?
Because it's not reproducing, it's just taking over.
No.
How does it
Yeah.
reproduce?
Exactly. Yeah, because we see it in the cat, and as soon as the cat sees other organic life, it completely leaves the cat and tries to jump into them.
Mhm.
So why is it just hopping from body to body to body to body to body?
Yeah.
What is its purpose ultimately?
Exactly.
Yeah, that needs to be explained. Because you would think, I mean, is it in search for the ultimate host? Maybe. Because one thing we saw about the cat, once it was in the cat started to break down. Like the cat was all bloody,
Yeah.
half of its face was gone. And we see that happening with the sheep as well. Once it gets into the sheep, we see half of the sheep's face starts getting bloody and starts deteriorating. Maybe it's searching for the perfect vessel that can sustain it and won't break down. Maybe whatever this thing is, it needs like, maybe it needs a human or a xenomorph. Maybe it needs like the perfect host so it won't break down. Maybe that's why it jumps from body to body to body to body, because it hasn't found the right host that can properly sustain it yet.
That makes a lot of sense. Because you see it all the time where even in the human surgeries, your body will reject the foreign object. So it looks like that was happening with the cat and the sheep, but maybe because it is looking like a human eye, right?
Yeah.
Maybe our body would take it better than an animal's body.
Maybe it's in terms of like the eyeball, it's very human eye-esque in terms of like, I think that's part of it. I think maybe it could just be searching for the perfect host, like the perfect host body that can sustain it without breaking down. Because the cat was clearly breaking down. The sheep is clearly breaking down after it's inside of it. Maybe it just needs a stronger host, a more compatible host. And maybe that's a human. Maybe that's a xenomorph. Maybe that's something else entirely. Maybe it just hasn't found that right vessel yet. Maybe.
And it's true, Elizabeth Jaramillo. It's cute and terrifying at the same time. It is quite cute.
Yeah.
Out of all of the creatures that we have seen so far, the cutest one, for sure.
Cute and terrifying. Absolutely. I imagine the apple was a reference to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Yes, and they eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge for good and evil, which is often depicted as an apple. Yeah, very true. It could be. Very well could be.
I like that.
Yeah. Pet octopus would be so cool. They are crazy intelligent. They are, yeah. I mean, octopi are incredibly intelligent. Like the things that they can do, the escape artists that they are. You can throw these things in a tiny little fucking jar and they'll twist the jar off themselves and get right out. Like they are super fucking smart, these things. Absolutely.
They are. I saw a documentary where they said, there is a Japanese dish where you eat them alive. Their tentacles are still moving while you're consuming them. And the documentary was looking into that specific dish. And they know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
That's
so when you're picking them,
that's kind of fucked
when
up.
they are picked in order to be consumed,
Yeah.
They know that you are going to eat them.
Yeah. That's fucked. That's so fucked.
And that just makes it worse, right? Than if they were not as intelligent as we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sad. I mean, imagine that just like being like stuck in a pot, knowing like, holy shit, I'm gonna get killed and eaten by that big thing out there, by that giant fucking
that human.
Fucked up. What do you think it means that the cat dies when it never does that mean the humans will live? When with the Teocelius, I mean, I think like we were saying a minute ago, I think it just hasn't found the right host body yet. I think the cat body was just probably not strong enough to sustain it. I think the sheep will probably also not be strong enough to sustain it. It needs to find that right host, I think. Yeah, the right host. At least that's what I think. Seems like maybe that's it. Otherwise, why jump from body to body? You already have a host.
That's a good point. That's
you have you're in the cat. You have a host that's mobile. You're free. You can run around. Why jump out of that body unless you know it's a body that isn't going to sustain you for long?
That's true. You're in the cat. What else do you want?
Yeah, but although, and I also like that from Star. Yeah, the Species 37 could be Keith Richards. He is a fucking alien. That one. That fucking dude's an alien for sure. He is not from this planet. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I agree. Disney is flexing its IPs, as Jeremy mentioned. Yeah, the original Peter Pan is dark, and Peter Pan actually kills adults by breathing on them in their sleep. Yeah, I remember Robert brought that up the other night as well. He's like, Peter Pan does some dark shit in these earlier first versions, killing people and such. Like, it's banishing the Lost Boys and such. Like, there's some darker stuff that Peter Pan has been before, compared to the kind of sweet Peter Pan that people think of nowadays, I guess. And again, I like to hope and think that they're modeling it off the darker version of Peter Pan. I've watched videos of people that have other saltwater aquariums, and octopus will escape, get into other aquariums and will eat all the fish. Yeah, I mean, they will. They'll get right out of a fucking fish tank, go into another fish tank, and just, they can be invasive species, depending on what you're throwing them in there with. They're fucking smart, man. They are escape artists. They can get out of anything. They really can. If you have an octopus at home in a tank, you got to make sure that tank is super secured and it cannot open, because it will. If it has any little opening, it's going to take it. Sometimes the octopus takes the human with them and chew well. Yeah, I mean, especially the giant ones. There's some giant ones out there. I'm going to nickname it Popeye, says Wall Tech. That's actually not bad, because it pops into the eye and it pops out of the eye. Very good, Wall Saint Tech. It pops in and it pops out of the eye. Popeye. I like it.
I like it. We have crowned him Popeye.
I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Popeye, for sure. I mean, he does. He pops right out of the eye. I always wanted a horror film based on Peter Pan's shadow. That would be an interesting, like a darker horror take on the show that is a little akin to the earlier darker versions. Yeah, I'd watch that.
Peter Pan's shadow. Do you know about Peter Pan's shadow?
Yes. Oh yeah, I'd love to see a dark version of
Do
that.
we have, do you think, a Peter Pan shadow? We have Boy Cavalere.
Yes, we do have a Peter Pan shadow.
Who?
The old man, the bald man. That boy is always like, 100% got to be him.
There you go.
It's got to be him.
There you go.
It's got to be him. The old man, the second in command there in the company.
How he reacts to him, yes. Yep.
It's got to be him. He's super shady. I don't trust that guy. I do not trust that guy, not in the slightest. Something's up with that dude. Something's up with that guy. I don't trust him. But yeah, I think if anyone's going to be Peter Pan's shadow, it would have to be him.
It has to be. Yeah. So smart.
I mean, this Peter Pan trillionaire is obviously super freaking, like, I don't know, the nicest child storybook version. Yeah, it's it's not very hidden. I mean, it's the Peter Pan influence is very hyped up. Like, it's right there in your face. They do not try and hide it. But again, I'm getting this darker version. Like, I'm getting super dark vibes from Boy. Not like very, very warm and genuine, very mischievous. He feels like very duplicitous. He feels like he's using these children as a means to his own end. He doesn't care about these children. So yeah,
and it has to be dark. I mean,
it's got to be darker.
What are we getting if this is the nice Peter Pan?
Yeah.
It's not going to fit with the franchise. In itself, it was an interesting choice to see Peter Pan be blended into the show so much. So if you're going to blend it, it has to be the darker version.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it just fits better, especially with the Alien franchise. The feel, the tone of the Alien franchise, the darker version is the only thing that's going to make any sense. And it's the only thing that's going to fit with that aesthetic, I think. Has anyone seen? Yeah, I mean, again, Prometheus, I didn't hate Prometheus like a lot of other people did. A lot of people really hated Prometheus, and again, it's got some problems. I will be the first to admit it's got some problems. But again, just in terms of pure conceptualized, the concept of it, how Ridley Scott was finally going to kind of explore these engineers a little bit more. I thought he was heading in the right direction with Prometheus. Because, again, you go back to the original 1979 Alien film, the most intriguing part of that film for a lot of people was the space jockey scene. There's one scene where they finally find this giant derelict ship, and they board it, and they see the remains of this old giant alien being, like sitting in this like weird thing. They refer to it as the space jockey. And everyone's always wondered, who is this thing? Where did it come from? Where did this ship come from? What were these people doing? Where did they find these alien eggs? Where did this all come from? And then 30 years later, you finally have Ridley Scott kind of exploring that a little bit more with Prometheus and finally diving into the engineers. So I feel like Prometheus was heading in the right direction. The movie was just a little ill-conceived, but directional wise, where they were going, engineer wise, I wish that could have got explored more. But unfortunately, the studio hated Prometheus. They hated it. They hated it so much that his next film had to be called Alien. They didn't want him to do Prometheus Part 2. They wanted the title of the second film to be Alien because they thought that would be the only thing that would sell. This Prometheus experiment didn't work. The studio hated it. And then we go from Prometheus to Alien Covenant. The second one had to be a quote-unquote alien film. So Ridley Scott didn't even get a chance to do what he wanted to with that sequel. What he was originally going to do with Prometheus 2, he didn't get a chance to do because the studio didn't let him because they hated the first one. And they kind of forced him to kind of repackage it and retool it as an alien film and not a Prometheus film. But again, Prometheus had its problems, but I think it was heading in the right direction with exploring the engineers. But that's just me. That's just me. Okay, we got some people that enjoyed Prometheus. Okay, awesome. Kiwi enjoyed it. Looks like Minerva enjoyed it as well. Awesome. Yeah, again, I didn't hate it. Yeah, yes, Jeremy. And then the answers were not good enough, though. Yeah, they weren't. And that's the problem. He didn't get a chance to really give us all the answers. I feel like Prometheus only sets it up, and then he really had to kind of take a U-turn with Alien Covenant and do like not what he wanted to do. I think if he would have had full creative control and had done a Prometheus 2, I think people would have appreciated Prometheus 1 a little bit more because I think he would have paid everything off a little better if he had full control of that second film. But the studio stepped in and said, no, this has to be an alien film. It's got to be structured like an alien film. The Xenomorph has to be the main villain. And that's why we got Alien Covenant. And it's unfortunate. I think if Ridley Scott would have had a chance to do what he wanted to with Prometheus 2, I think it would have paid off a little better. And I think in that case, the answers would have been a little better. But in Prometheus alone, no, the answers weren't good enough. But, you know, he kind of got cut off at the knees, and that sucks. Creative-wise, you like to see a director at least have a chance to bring his vision to life before a studio steps in and stomps all over it and says, no, do this. Well, I don't know. Yeah, the engineer had some cool dialogue that was cut from the. Yeah, that was when they finally released that a few years later. That was awesome. We finally got to see a whole deleted scene that the engineer and David actually really conversed for a while, and we finally got to see the dialogue. Yeah, it's again. I think Prometheus was heading into some interesting places. I liked it a little bit. I thought it was good, but it did have its problems. What is up, Jen? Good to see you. Welcome. Ridley Scott keeps getting yanked around by studios after making proven works. Raised by Wolves got nixed also. Yeah, that was another one. Raised by Wolves was great. I'm devastated that got canceled after 2 phenomenal seasons just because the budget was a little bit high. I mean, look at the quality they were producing, and that would have been a show that would have continued to grow. They would have seen a return on their investment if they would have kept that show going. But unfortunately, HBO, ever since the merger with Discovery, they just pull the plug on shows so much faster now, and that's because they're hemorrhaging cash. They're trying to save as much money as they can. If they would just let Ridley Scott do his thing, he's proven at least. I mean, nowadays he's more miss than hit, but he at least has done so many phenomenal films that you would think the studio would let him do what he wants. The fact that they stepped in so much on that second film and turned it from Prometheus 2 to Alien Covenant and, you know, kind of were adamant that the Xenomorph had to be the main villain of the second film, that's fucked up for someone like Ridley Scott, like someone of his stature who's accomplished everything he's accomplished, all the incredible films he's put out. And you mean to tell me this studio's not giving me creative freedom to go where I want with my trilogy? It's fucked up. And then we saw how poor Alien Covenant did. That trilogy didn't even become a trilogy. They didn't even get a third film. They didn't even greenlight a third film because Alien Covenant was so poorly received. But that's what the studio gets. You want to jump in there and act like you know better. This is what happens. But let's continue this episode 3 trailer. And then,
with
here we
acid
going.
for blood.
I'm gonna get them back.
We're trying to contain an alien invasion.
So Wendy's just out there with all these things?
Joe?
Here we go. Episode 3. So again, the way episode 2 ended with the Xenomorph fucking kidnapping Joe, fucking plot armor never stops. We're going to see Wendy going after and trying to track down the Xenomorph and get her brother Joe back. As the Xenomorph continues to just growl in Joe's face because it does not want to kill him for some reason. But again, I hope that we see that reason. And I am, my working theory is the Xenomorph is tapping into Wendy's memories or her feelings in some manner or way. And that's maybe why she's not why the Xenomorph isn't killing Joe, perhaps. But we shall see. But we also see this scene of Morrow on the phone with someone, probably Weyland Yutani, stating, I'm going to get them back. So clearly this little interaction, this little run-in that he has with Kirsch, that probably happens earlier in the episode, probably doesn't go in Morrow's favor because he seems to lose all these eggs and he loses everything else on the ship to Kirsch, which makes sense. Kirsch is way more powerful than him. He's a full-on synthetic. Morrow's only a human cyborg. Morrow stands no chance here. So clearly it didn't go well, and now we're going to see just how dedicated our good old pal Morrow is to getting these specimens back. He seems very dedicated to recovering these things.
And if he's saying, I'm going to get them back, it makes me think that he didn't open those 5 cages.
I don't think he did.
Right? Because then you wouldn't be certain that you're going to get them back. They might just run around all over Earth. It makes me think he let go of those specimens that were not as important. Yeah. And he's going to get back the really important ones. So the ones that we see in all the ads and all the promotion, right?
The 5 main ones.
The 5 main ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tend to agree with you too. I don't think he was the one who let them out. I think he tried to stop whoever let them out from letting them out. And I think it was either the engineer or maybe even Tang had something to do with putting this face hugger inside that cryo, because that seemed to maybe set most of this off. But yeah, I don't think it was Morrow. I don't think he orchestrated all this. I think it was either Tang or the engineer. At this point, my money's on Tang. Weird old fucking Tang. The way he's creeping over that poor girl sleeping in that cryopod. That could have been the very same girl, same cryopod where the chest burster emerged from. So this Tang dude is number 1 on my suspect list in terms of who started all of this.
I agree with you. We didn't get a lot of the scientists, right? There wasn't a lot of scenes, but they chose to keep that scene specifically for a reason. So it makes me think maybe he picked her. He picked her to be the human experiment.
The test subject.
Yes.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I like the idea that it was experimenting with on humans, like PM mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea too. Because, we like to see that, obviously the humans are experimenting on all of these things, but what's to say that these things aren't going to try and experiment with humans just as much, So I think that makes sense. I think that's a possibility. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be, I think this is going to be an interesting episode. I think this is going to be a very interesting episode. Morrow is going to be trying to get
them back.
We got his little cyborg arm. And we got Wendy out there trying to recover Joe. And meanwhile, we got Kirsch and the rest of the hybrids bringing the specimens back to Prodigy so they can begin experiments. And then, of course, here we have the Xenomorph yet again not attacking Joe, just throwing him around and growling in his face yet again. So, yeah, that needs to be explained why Joe has the thicker plot armor than Jack fucking Bauer on 24. They need to explain that, and I hope they have a good reason as to why. I hope that this isn't just plot armor and bad writing. I tend to think that there's going to be a specific reason as to why Joe isn't getting killed super quick by this thing, why it kidnapped him.
I think at this point, the only reason that will be acceptable is what you guys have mentioned, that it is Wendy's desire to keep him safe. And the fact that she said they are talking to me. If they are talking to her, perhaps she can talk to them. Yeah. Now, if we recall when the series started, there was an exchange with Tinkerbell and Wendy, where they had a scorpion, right? In a bowl.
Yes.
And they were talking about what would be the best thing to do to
What do you do with the
protect.
scorpion?
Yeah, to protect yourself from it.
Valuable lesson that gets learned very early by Wendy. Yeah.
And what does she choose? At the end, she chooses to not hurt this creature, right? To not cause pain in order to protect her friend. So maybe we're going to see that play out. She wants to protect her brother, and maybe that is her bargaining chip with this other creature.
Maybe
that she will protect it as well, or maybe not hurt it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I think it's plausible. I think it's as plausible as anything else we've seen or any other theory we've seen up until this point. Yeah, I, as long as they have a reason behind it and it's not plot armor, I'll be happy. I'll be happy because yeah, again, the plot armor is strong with this one. It really is. The plot armor is strong with this one. So I really hope there's a reason there and it's not just plot armor. But we'll see. We'll see. Susie is off to go watch the newest episode of The Institute. We're probably going to sign off here pretty soon as well. I think maybe we'll go watch The Institute, and maybe if we get done with it early enough, maybe we'll hop into the Discord and discuss it with anybody who wants to talk about it. Maybe we'll do a little Discord voice chat if we have time. But yeah, we're going to go watch that in a little bit too as well. But yeah, so far I'm very happy with Alien. I think it's off to a freaking phenomenal start. I episode 1 was definitely a little bit stronger than episode 2. Just for me personally, episode 2 did kind of morph into the kind of chase scene, but again, you got to have that every once in a while in these kind of these kind of stories. You have to have those chase scene episodes. But overall, despite the few problems that it's had, I am very excited about where the show's going. I think there's a very interesting story here. I like the underlying kind of question of what does it mean to be human from all of these different POVs, from characters that want to be more than human and characters that still want to be human. There's some interesting stuff there. And of course, we got a lot of creatures to look forward to as well, like classic Alien films always deliver. So overall, very excited for the future of the series. And yeah, if you guys have not seen my episode 3 trailer breakdown yet, check that out. I uploaded that on the channel earlier today. I uploaded that yesterday, last night I uploaded my episode 3 trailer breakdown. And if you want to see my thoughts in entirety, a little bit more in depth, check out that. And yeah, I guess we will reconvene after episode 3 airs and we will discuss it then.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see the story develop.
Yeah.
And the chat knows all. Jeremy's chat knows everything. So I'm going to look forward to seeing how the romantic story develops between the Xenomorph and Joe. Because I like your guys' theory that maybe it has some sort of motive that it's romantic. Maybe he did fall in love with Joe. I like it. I think it's the most interesting theory I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think it's definitely an interesting one for sure. But we shall see. Do I still give it a solid 8? If I'm combining episode 1 and 2, do I give it a solid 8 still? I don't know. I'm right around that 7-8 range. Episode 1, I give an 8. Episode 2, I give a 7. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. What about you? What are your 1 and 2 scores?
I think for 1, I would do 7, and for 2, I would do 8.
Okay. Awesome. So the flip-flopped for me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but overall, I'm excited, enjoying the series. Again, it's, there are, like Brandon says, I knew there was going to be some parts of the show that were going to tick me off. And I'm right there with you, Brandon. 100%. I knew there was going to be some little parts that were going to be like, oh, fuck. But overall, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm definitely still giving it a chance. I really want to see where it's going to go. And I think it's got potential. I mean, the production quality, the cinematography, the sound design, the music, everything is top notch. Everything looks so freaking good on this show. So I have to give them the production quality wise. It is great. So yeah, we'll see if the story keeps up with it.
Yeah, and Wendy is so likable. I'm rooting for Wendy. I care.
I like Wendy.
She is so likable. I am deeply invested in seeing her grow. 1, survive. 2, find her brother, but also grow into this new body and life. that she's going to experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very likable.
Yeah. She's such a likable character. Super cute with her little teeny bop hair and all that. Like, you know, she's
looks like a doll.
very
Yeah,
very
so
likable
cute.
character. Yeah, and I didn't realize until the show started that she's actually the daughter of Kyle Chandler, who was the coach on a series that I used to watch years ago called Friday Night Lights, football show. I didn't know that. It's his daughter. But yeah, she's good. She's likable. Good lead. Good cast in general. Like the cast, no complaints about the cast on Alien Earth. I think the whole cast is great. Great. Babu is great as Morrow. Timothy Olyphant, great as Kirsch. You know, I like the actor who's playing Boy Cavalere. The whole cast is good. Great cast. Great cast. We got an 8 from Samuel, 2 times 8 for 2 8s for Kiwi Skirt, 7.2 for Vanessa M. Both were good, says Kiwi, and 8 from AXZ. So it seems like people are mostly enjoying it for the most part. That is good. That is good. All right. Well, as Kiwi says, cheers, everyone. Have a good night and enjoy your show. Hand pink waving.
Hand waving.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And anyone who is watching the Institute, if we end up doing a little voice chat, I will announce it in the Discord. Anybody who wants to pop in there with us and come and hang out with us and talk a little Institute, everybody, of course, is welcome. And we can talk anything too, Alien, anything from, doesn't really matter. But if I do that, if I have time to do that tonight after I'm done watching the Institute, I will let everybody know in the Discord. But if not, until next time, stay safe out there, ladies and gents. Keep those tinfoil hats on, and we will see you on the next Alien After Show.
You're on my ship.
The ship belongs to me now.
All this ground to break, new life forms with acid for blood.
I'm gonna get them back.
We're trying to contain an alien invasion.
So Wendy's just out there with all these things?
Joe?
They shouldn't be here. Species from other worlds. Millions of years old. Killers.
Collision imminent. Collision imminent. Collision imminent. 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 Imminent.
Feels good, doesn't it? Being more than human. But there's a price. Do you know what it is?